Hello friends. Welcome back again on the I Have a Vision Academy YouTube channel. In short, I Have Academy. So without any further ado, let's start today's topic. So in the previous classes, we have discussed about the basics of GST, the various kinds of direct taxes as well as indirect taxes, the formal taxes like VAT, how the GST came into life. Now, in today's class, we will be covering some of the basic important aspects of GST and then we will further proceed down the line. So, let's start. So, there are some basic aspects to the goods and services tax. So, these are the first one is the IGST. So in the previous classes, I had told you integrated goods and services tax. The taxes which are implemented for interstate consignments. So whenever there is an interstate commutation of consignments, goods and services, then we will apply integrated goods and services tax. This will be collected by the center and then it is equally distributed between center and states. Understood? In the previous class only I have told you about the slabs of GST like 0, 5, 12, 18, 28. So if we have to bifurcate 5 into 2, 2.5, 2.5, 6, 6, 9, 9 and so on. Understood? So center and states will equally divide this IGST. The second aspect is it is consumption based or destination based tax system. What does it imply? It means there are two states A and B. In state A there is a beautiful manufacturing of the traditional cart toy. Now this cart toy, the consignment of this cart toy will be sent to the state of B. Why? Because there is a huge demand of this toy cart in the village B, as village B has more number of persons in the age group of 0 to 10. So this toy cart consignment will go to B. As the cart, this cart is going to be sold in the state of B or in the village of B. अच्छी बात है अगर state बोलेंगे तो in the state of B. So it implies the consumers are residing in state B and as the consumers are giving taxes, कैसे दे रहे हैं? By purchasing this cart they are giving indirect taxes to the government. So now as the consumers are there in state B, so all the taxes collected on this cart will go to state B. Why? Because as the consumers of the state B are paying indirect taxes, so this collection of indirect taxes will be get applied on the development of state B. It means state A will not get anything. So this is called consumption based or destination based tax system. Another aspect is the exports are zero rated. Now how the exports are zero rated? A product has been manufactured in the state A. Now it has to go to a border state. यहाँ हुआ है. अब ये एक बॉर्डर स्टेट में जाएगा और यहाँ से शिप के द्वारा बाहर भेजा जाएगा. All the taxes, all the central taxes अप्लाइड हेयर एंड इंटरस्टेट में ट्रैवल हो रहा है तो IGST भी लगेगा. So the GST plus the IGST, all these that the supply chain is providing to the government, they are indirect taxes. So whole of this supply chain is contributing to this indirect tax system. All these will be get credited into the account of the respective supply chain. This consignment which is going abroad will be considered as an interstate commute. It means IGST will apply here, and by the input credit tax system mechanism, this whole of the supply chain's indirect taxes will get credited back to the accounts of their respective shareholders. समझ में आ गया आपको? So it means effectively the exports are zero rated. It means all the taxes which the supply chain has given to the government has duly paid it back to the supply chain. So this is nothing called but exports are zero rated. Now इसका आप implication देख सकते हैं कैसे? First of all, I have told you the GST has simplified the indirect taxation system up to a limit in India. It means I have told you there was cascading effect going on before the implementation of GST. So now most of the things price will come down a little bit. Why? Because the cascading effect has been stricken off. So most of the products which are available in the retail market, their prices will come down a little bit. This is first point. Secondly, we are doing zero rated export. It means our exports are more competitive in the markets of the foreign economy. So this is the second point. Now the third point is in relation to this. We haven't touched our imports duty. इसका मतलब the customs plus the IGST will apply here. So first of all, the product's price in our domestic market is going to come down, and on the opposite side of the coin we have maintained our customs and IGST on the imports. It means our domestic products become more competitive in our domestic markets, and our domestic products in the foreign economy are also becoming more competitive as our exports are zero rated. So ऐसे थोड़ी आप इधर उधर से कहानी सोच लीजिए. मैं बस यहाँ पॉइंट्स लिखता हूँ, बट आपके लिए मैंने थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन भी कर दिया इसे. The second aspect is the e-way bill, electronic way bill. So prior to the implementation of the GST, we have a term called way bill. ठीक है. Now apart from this study angle, थोड़ा सा अपना दिमाग लगा के सोचिए. You are government, you have to charge your tax. A state one, this is truck. X is an wholesaler, manufacturer in the state A. Now the demand of the products of X is more in state B. So this truck will commute to the state B. Now as a government, how do you apply your tax laws in this particular transaction? समझ गए आप एग्जांपल? This is a truck having consignment of X commuting towards B. Now there is 1, 2, 3, 4 articles or products in this particular truck. Now as a government, as a tax collector, how do you come about that how many articles have been transmitted to this? And if you know that 1, 2, 3, 4 products are there in this truck, then you will charge tax on this value. So आप ये कैसे कर पाओगे? So for this only the way bill was there before the implementation of GST. In this way bill, this manufacturer X will list the name of the company, the value of the consignment, the load of the consignment, the start or eminence destination, the end point of the destination, the point B. So all these things will be given to the driver of the truck, and the last, the tax given to the government. So X, the manufacturer X, is giving taxes to the government in its own form, self declaration. Now as the A will enter the state B, there is a barricade there कि भाई दिखाओ अपना वे बिल. Now if you are traveling, commuting to number of states in your own car, you must have seen a line of trucks. और आप बोलते हो पापा ये क्यों खड़े हो, मम्मी ये पूरी ट्रकों की लाइन क्यों खड़ी है? So they are checking your e-way bill. Understood? So now after the implementation of GST, this e-way bill concept has been introduced. The prefix is electronic. It means now you have to obtain this way bill in a digital form. Now you are self-declaring your all these things that I have quoted in a digital platform. So now the tax compliance authorities, they will have much more less time for enabling the compliance of this whole mechanism. ये बैरिकेड्स इतनी लगाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. क्यों? सब काम डिजिटली हो रहा है. डिजिटली यू कैन एनालाइज कि अच्छा इतना सब यहाँ जा रहा है. यू नो द एंड पॉइंट ऑफ द डेस्टिनेशन. आप यहाँ जाके भी कंप्लायंस चेक कर सकते हो. अंडरस्टूड? सो दिस वाज द कंसेप्ट ऑफ ई वे बिल. इसमें हमने एक थ्रेश होल्ड रख दिया है. शायद से अगर आप योर कंसाइनमेंट इज लेस देन ऑफ 50,000 rupees, so you don't need to generate this e-way bill, but after this limit it is mandatory to generate the e-way bill. So this was the concept of e-way bill. In the composition levy, आप एक दो चीज़ें याद रखिए, पूरा समझने की कंसेप्ट ज़्यादा ज़रूरी नहीं है. It is a optional thing. Optional for whom? For small businesses, for small enterprises. They don't have much digital literacy. Moreover, this GST whole mechanism is quite complex if you are taking these small businessmen as a central point. मान लीजिए आपके एक दोस्त की छोटी सी दुकान है, उसको राशन बेचता है. So he has to understand first whole of GST, then he have to learn the digital platforms, then he can able to apply its own returns. ये सब होगा. बट कंपोजिशन लेवी में थोड़ी सी डिफरेंट स्कीम है. वो एक प्योर फ्लैट रेट है. एक फ्लैट रेट पे ही वो बोलेगा कि आप अपना GST पे कर लीजिए. इट मीन्स यू डोंट हैव टू पे दिस slabbed GST, but you have to pay at a flat rate under this composition levy. So this is optional. Understood? या तो आप इस पे भर लीजिए या तो आप GST पे भर लीजिए. पसंद आपकी है, चॉइस आपकी है. Now the last thing which I have told you in the previous class also, GST compensation fund. When there was the discussion, brainstorming of the implementation of GST, then the state governments have a anxiety. How? Central government is asking states that please let go your some of the powers of indirect taxes. So states have anxiety that what about our revenue that will be foregone. So center is assuring or promising the states that dear states, I will calculate your annual growth revenue of indirect taxes. मान लीजिए 14% है. कब? मान लीजिए जब GST 2016 इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ था, तो मतलब आप 2014, 2015 और 2016 का क्यूमुलेटिव एनुअल ग्रोथ रेवेन्यू निकाल लिया, जो कि 14% आया. नाउ सेंटर इज प्रॉमिसिंग स्टेट्स that whatever revenue from the indirect taxes you will be generating after the implementation of GST, मान लीजिए 12% है, so this gap is my responsibility. सेंट्रल कह रही है आई विल ट्रांसफर यू द रिमेनिंग 2% ऑफ दिस मनी इन योर कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ इंडिया. कैसे करेगी? गवर्नमेंट के पास इतने रुपए हैं. देखिए गवर्नमेंट, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अपना तो रेवेन्यू जाने नहीं देगी. सो इन द लग्जूरियस एंड डीमेरिट गुड्स इट विल अप्लाई सम सेस सिंस 2016. Now the revenue generated on this cess will go to Consolidated Fund of India, and from Consolidated Fund of India it will go to public account of India, and then the government of India will send this money in the consolidated fund of respective states. So this was the mechanism of the GST compensation fund. Understood? ये GST compensation fund किसके अंदर है? पब्लिक अकाउंट ऑफ इंडिया. कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ इंडिया से कहाँ जाएगा? पब्लिक अकाउंट ऑफ इंडिया, जिसके अंडर है जीएसटी कंपनसेशन फंड. जीएसटी कंपनसेशन फंड से कहाँ जाएगा? कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ रेस्पेक्टिव स्टेट्स. सो दिस वाज अबाउट all the important aspects of GST. Now we will further dwell into the merits and demerits of GST for the various stakeholders involved in this whole process. So first absorb this. Now the merits of GST. Now we will take a look at different stakeholders. Firstly, for the industries, then some for the states and center, and some for us, the consumers. सो प्लीज़ ब्रेनस्टॉर्म ऑन दिस इंडस्ट्रीज. क्या क्या हो सकता है? जो भी मैंने सिंपल थिंग्स बताई, थोड़ा सा खुद ही ब्रेनस्टॉर्म करिए. पॉज करिए वीडियो, फिर देखिए. फर्स्ट इज द फॉरमोस्ट. कैस्केडिंग इफेक्ट हट गया. अगला मैंने अभी पूरा अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया था पॉइंट. कौन सा? थोड़ा ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कीजिए, खुद ही आएगा आपको. क्या लिखूं? The whole process of GST implementation is the easy compliance, and the next objective of the implementation of GST is the uniformity of tax laws. कौन सा? इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस. और लास्ट में जो मैंने पूरा पॉइंट एक्सप्लेन किया था, विच इज सिमिलर टू दिस पॉइंट, क्या है? कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस. Competitiveness of the Indian industries will rise up. So these are some of the merits for the industry stakeholder. Now the states and center. फिर से वही चीज़, easy to administer. The tax base of government of India will increase, and this is fact. अभी तो GST 2016 में आया था, अभी 21 चल रहा है. सो रिगार्डिंग वेरियस डॉक्यूमेंट्स वी हैव सीन दैट देर इज इंक्रीज इन द टैक्स बेस ऑफ इंडिया. टैक्स बेस मतलब those who are falling under tax net, those who are liable to pay taxes to government of India. The number of such persons have been increased. Understood? Then tax evasion कम हो गई है ज़्यादा? कम हो गई. Why? Input tax credit mechanism. पिछली सप्लाई चेन से you mandatorily obtain the tax receipt, then only the input credit tax mechanism will be applied on your value. So tax evasion कम हो चुका है. Then the most important thing is the implementation of GST is itself an example of a political term, that is cooperative federalism. Understood? Some for consumers. Acha, there is one more point in the industries as well as it will fall into consumers category also. Easy filling of tax returns, and it will also apply to the industry part. एक ही आपको टैक्स रिटर्न भरना है, वो भी डिजिटली. अंडरस्टूड? सो इजी filling of tax returns, and I have told you some of the products, their prices have been decreased. Understood? So it will create a easiness of consumers, or the market economy, the exchange of money, उसका ज़्यादा इंक्रीज हो जाएगा. अंडरस्टूड? सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द मेरिट्स. अब थोड़े से डीमेरिट्स भी देख लेते हैं ऑफ द GST. डीमेरिट्स बताइए. एक न्यू मैं बताता हूँ. This term is applied on the transactions on which raw material taxes on raw materials is higher in comparison to the taxes on finished product. Ideally, it should be like this, that the taxes on raw materials should be low and the taxes on the finished product should be high. But after the implementation of GST, a major flaw of this GST is the inverted duty tax structure. Understood? So it means that raw materials, the taxes on raw materials are higher and the taxes on the finished product is lower. It means paper taxes are 5%, books taxes are 0%. Understood? Now आप अपना brainstorm कीजिए. I have told you about the slabs. So इसका मतलब after the simplification of the indirect tax system in India, after that also we are having some complexity by giving 5 to 6 slabs. So rather complex. Disincentivizing the small industries. देखिए, we have a threshold limit. What is this threshold limit? If your turnover, I think, is less than 40 lakh, so you don't need to apply GST. You don't fall in the bracket of GST. But मान लीजिए, सबसे पहली बात तो most of these companies, MSMEs या जो भी बोल लीजिए, they will try to avoid this complication. It means they will try to hold their turnovers below 40 lakh. And if their turnover are around 42 or 43 lakh, so then also they will show in their income tax returns their turnover as 40 lakh only. So there is kind of tax evasion here. And moreover, the MSMEs who are actually disclosing their real returns, that means below 40 lakhs, but they are not digitally literate. So yes, they are not falling under the bracket of GST, but to file these returns we have to file the returns. अगर हमें भरना है टैक्स, नहीं भरना है, but we have to file the returns. So these such MSMEs which are not digitally literate, they will hire some professionals, they will acquire some computers, so their overall cost will increase beyond 40 lakh and hence they will come under GST. So it is kind of disincentivizing the small scale industries. So that is another complication और demerit of the GST. Understood? ऐसे आप और भी brainstorm करके लिखिए, मैं और नहीं लिख रहा, इसके 2-3 और अच्छे से बन सकते हैं, तो आप नेट पे सर्च करिए और लिखिए. There was another mechanism, merchandise export to India scheme. This was a previous scheme. Now it is remission on duties and taxes. This was another scheme. Now this is taking on the now this has been implemented on the Indian soils. ये P का मैं full form भूल गया. Remission on duties and taxes on exported products, RODTEP. ठीक है. So now this scheme has been implemented and this has become defunct. Merchandise export to India scheme. So under this scheme, what the government is doing, that an exporter, both of these schemes will get applied to exports. The exporters are sending their consignment to foreign, and in return the government is giving them some scrips. By giving them these scrips, these exporters are filling up their indirect tax returns. It means they are not giving actual money in the indirect tax system, but they are equating it in the scripts part. Understood? कंसाइनमेंट एक्सपोर्टर ने भेजा, गवर्नमेंट ने बोल दिया ये लो स्क्रिप्ट्स और इससे अपना इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स सिस्टम भर दो. But this is non-compliant with the provisions of World Trade Organization, and India is a member of World Trade Organization. So now this scheme has been replaced by RODTEP, Remission on Duties and Taxes on Exported Products. Now under this scheme, in the previous class, जहाँ तक मुझे याद आ रहा है, if my memory is serving me right, I have told you that WTO का सब चीज़ें non-compliant होंगी unless and until you are giving actual money in the hands of the persons. जैसे जो हमारा किसान PM किसान स्कीम है, उसमें क्या कर रहे हैं हम? PM किसान में we are not directly incentivizing the farmers for the procurement of various insecticide, seeds and irrigation facilities. What we are doing, we are simply giving the DBT of 6,000 in their bank's account. It means now it is the onus of farmer, it is the discretion of farmer to spend this 6,000 on these various things or to buy a pastry. So now this will become WTO compliant. तो आप बस उन्हें रुपए दे दीजिए, आप डायरेक्ट सब्सिडाइज मत कीजिए कि इंसेक्टिसाइड 5,000 में मिल रहा है पर केजी तो हम 4,000 में बेचेंगे. दिस इज नॉन कंप्लायंट अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रोविजंस ऑफ WTO. तो एक बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग रखिए, जहाँ भी डायरेक्ट पैसे आप बेनिफिशियरी को दे रहे हो in their accounts, it is compliant with the WTO provisions. So hence it is non-compliant. Why? Because these scripts are used by these exporters for fulfillment of their indirect tax system. बट नाउ उसमें क्या करेंगे, नाउ वी आर सेइंग एक्सपोर्टर्स कि प्लीज़ गिव योर फुल इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स सिस्टम, जो भी आपके रेट हैं, जितना भी आपकी वैल्यू है इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स की, प्लीज़ फिल और गिव इट टू अस बाय इनपुट क्रेडिट टैक्स मैकेनिज्म, वी विल गिव इट बैक टू यू। हमने समझा था अभी। सो नाउ यू आर गिविंग द मनी टू द एक्सपोर्टर्स, सो नाउ इट इज़ द डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द एक्सपोर्टर्स टू बाई आइसक्रीम और समोसा, और या तो अपना ये ड्यूटीज़ है इसके कंपनसेशन में अपने बैंक अकाउंट में रखे। अंडरस्टूड? सो नाउ इट विल गेट कंप्लायंट विद द प्रोविजंस ऑफ WTO. So this was the scheme about RODTEP. Understood? So absorb this, then we will see some of the reformation amendments in the direct tax system. So absorb this. अब ठंडियाँ आ गई हैं तो गला जल्दी सूख जाता है, तो देखते हैं। पहले थोड़ी सी टर्म देख लेते हैं, या तो इफेक्ट, ज़्यादा अच्छी टर्म है, इफेक्ट देख लेते हैं। The effect of GST in informal sector as well as logistics. So as I had told you, this is one of the unique feature of GST, और ये VAT में भी था, VAT में भी था, वैल्यू एडेड टैक्स में, the input credit tax mechanism या input tax credit mechanism. So these large firms, the raw materials are procured by various small companies. Now some of these small companies lies in the informal sector. So these small companies avoided the tax system for so long, as well as their business are still going on with the formal sector. But now as the input credit tax mechanism has been put in place, so these large firms will demand the script कि आपने टैक्स भर दिया है ताकि मेरा टैक्स थोड़ा बच जाए. सो दिस इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर, मान लीजिए टेक्सटाइल सेक्टर, now will slowly get formalized. They have to apply, register as a formal firm, then they have to apply for the GST number, then they have to give the taxes amount, and then they will be able to get this script, and then large firms will get this script and seek remission on their respective taxes. So in the formal sector there is slowly the formalization of the informal sector with the formal sector. Now GST and logistics. See our trucks. First of all, the mode of transportation, land, sea और road. कौन सा सबसे महंगा है? Of course सबसे महंगा कौन सा है? एयर, उसके बाद लैंड एंड देन सी का. नाउ इफ वी कंपेयर द डिस्टेंस कवर्ड बाय ट्रक्स इन USA दैट ऑफ इंडिया, सो इन अ डे मान लीजिए USA ट्रक ड्राइवर कवर 600 किलोमीटर. सो आवर ट्रक ड्राइवर विल commute to only 200 km in a day, and moreover to this, at the entrance of the states, मैंने बताया वे बिल था जो, so there will be 6 to 7 hours of resting period to all the drivers. So this thing is increasing the cost of transportation, hence the product's cost in the market has been on a higher value. So we are less competitive. Now after the implementation of GST and the application of e-way bill, Now these barricades at the entrance of the states will get removed, everything will be digitalized, एंड ऊपर से हमारे रोड का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी अब बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है. आपने देखा होगा द पास्ट 2 to 3 गवर्नमेंट्स आर इम्प्लीमेंटिंग और कंस्ट्रक्टिंग रोड्स in a web manner in our country. So now our transportation cost will get reduced. This 6-7 hour of resting period will get reduced. So hence it will make our products more competitive in a global market. So this was upon the effect of GST on logistics. Now थोड़ा direct tax में जो रिफॉर्मेशन हुआ है वो देख लेते हैं. The faceless assessment and faceless appeal. Earlier, the authorities, किसकी? Government of India की. The authorities which are collecting taxes and the public, the common person which is giving taxes to India. There is a one-to-one discussion upon that. So there is the angle of corruption, huge corruption ongoing in the previous process. But now after the revolutionization of the IT world and the digitalization of all the governance, faceless assessment and faceless appeal has been put in place. It means now the official which is assessing a tax return is unknown to the common people. ये हमारे पास एक टैक्स रिटर्न है. ये किसका टैक्स रिटर्न है? कौन से कॉमन पीपल का टैक्स रिटर्न है? दिस ऑफिसर विल नॉट गेट टू नो एंड कॉमन पीपल विल नॉट गेट टू नो विच ऑफिसर इज असेसिंग आवर टैक्स रिटर्न्स. तो यहाँ से एनोनिमिटी हो चुकी है दोनों जगह. सो हैंस दिस एंगल ऑफ करप्शन इज रिड्यूस्ड टू अ लोवेस्ट लेवल. नाउ देयर आर सम assessment which are wrongly assessed. ठीक है, not intentionally but unintentionally. So there is a mechanism of appeal. Now in this also the officer will don't know which common people appeal is this, as well as common people don't know to which officer our appeal will be going. So again the angle of corruption is reduced. The third is citizen charter. इनकम टैक्स एक्ट ऑफ 1961 आई थिंक उसको अमेंड करके डाला गया है. दिस सिटीजन चार्टर विल गिव अस 2 things. The obligations on common people. It means you should file your returns in a true manner according to your knowledge. आप corruption नहीं करोगे. You will not indulge in corruption and etc. As well as the duties provided to you by the government of India. It means your anonymity will be maintained. आपका assessment एकदम सही होगा. Your assessment is timely assessed. तो ये सब चीज़ें सिटीजन चार्टर में लिखा होता है, the duties that the government of India is giving you, as well as the obligations on the common people of India which comes under the tax bracket. So these are some of the reformation in the direct टैक्स. सो आज के लिए इतना ही रहने देते हैं. थोड़ी बड़ी क्लास हो गई होगी आज की तो. सो इफ़ यू आर लाइकिंग दिस होल इकोनॉमिकल लेक्चर्स, सो प्लीज़ लाइक दिस वीडियो, शेयर इट विद योर फ्रेंड्स एंड सब्सक्राइब टू अवर यूट्यूब चैनल. तब तक ले गुड बाय, जय हिंद.